I'm Greg Jarboe with Search Engine Watch, and this is David Meerman Scott.
Hey, it's good to see you, Greg.
So, David and I are going to go on a little tour. And as you notice, there's this sort of green screen thing behind us. Well, we're going to talk about videos that we've seen and loved, maybe some videos we've seen and hated, but all of them basically have been used for marketing purposes to help their company. So, David, you got a place you want to start?
Well, let's start with the classic, and Will It Blend from Blendtec. I mean, we both talked about that one a number of times. I mean, now it seems like a classic, but at the time it was amazing. I mean, it's still amazing.
Well, the fact that he started it off with a budget of $50.
Yeah.
And most of that was for the marbles and the chicken, the rotisserie chicken, the six-pack of Coke. In other words, the things that he put in the blender.
But you know how originally they came up with this idea is they walked into the R&D lab and they were blending 2x4s. Like this, and like, whoa, and you know, like the light bulb, proverbial light bulb goes off in George Wright's head and says, wow, we could like put that up onto YouTube.
So George, this is a shout out to you because, you know, George actually does a cameo in a couple of the Will It Blends.
Yeah.
He actually has to eat oysters in one.
Nice.
And God knows, I think he has to eat something else in another, but...
And then they obviously increased their budget to at least a few $100 because they blended an iPhone, which is my favorite one because it's just so dramatic. This iPhone goes in, and then when it blends, the glass breaks, and all of a sudden it's just black.
Yeah. Now the key point for marketers is not only did they get hundreds of thousands and then millions of views, and not only did this get them gigs on, you know, being interviewed by different media and on the television, it boosted sales 700%.
Right, exactly. And a lot of that came because people were sharing these things. I mean, clearly, that's the way the 6 million views last time I checked of the iPhone one. And, you know, I've talked about these things a lot in my books, as you have in your book. I talked about it I had a front page story in the small business section of the Wall Street Journal, and most of it was about Will It Blend, because they wanted to know about viral marketing and YouTube videos. And so it's a great way to get out there is when people are talking about you both in the media and talking you up with friends and in blogs and on Twitter and so on.
So George Wright was brilliant. Who else? Who else have you seen that you really want to give a shout out to?
Oh, my friend Tim Washer. I always want to give Tim a shout out. He's in charge of video at IBM.
Oh.
B2B viral video. And a lot of people think, well, this stuff works for consumer markets, but it doesn't work in B2B markets. He created this fantastic series called The Art of the Sale. And it was originally done to launch, they had a $100,000 mainframe computer. And it was like, yeah, and that's exciting because, but they created this kind of takeoffs, kind of like The Office, as sort of a mockumentary kind of approach. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's like imagine a B2B sales vice president and doing it all wrong and just like hamming it up. And it's absolutely wonderful. So The Art of the Sale from IBM, it's so interesting to me because it's B2B.
Well, one of my other favorites is actually Monty Python. And they initially put up their YouTube channel as a defensive measure because they thought they were being ripped off. You know, people were making illegal copies of their videos. And so it was just a legal protection, but then they added a little click to buy ad at the bottom of the videos, and they thought nobody's going to buy anything because the only people who go to YouTube are here to get stuff for free.
Right.
And their
lo and behold,
DVD sales shot up 23,000%. And that's not a Monty Python number, that's actually a sales number.
And a lot of people were talking up that one as well. And that was about a year ago, I think. Fascinating.
Now, you've seen something new.
I'm really fascinated these days with crowdsourced videos. So frequently that might be in the form of a contest. So a couple examples, my sort of favorite examples there is HP did a contest for students. And the contest was to show an HP product in sort of a creative way. And they had these wonderful submissions, and one of them is really cool. It says these printers, and they're spitting out paper, and it was done in a sort of a stop-motion way, and it's just wonderful. And another one I learned about just 2 weeks ago, I was doing a keynote speaking gig in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and I had a chance to speak with someone who worked on some crowdsourced videos for Heineken. And I'm always interested in hearing about Heineken, any kind of beer, and particularly if it involves YouTube videos. But what they did, they put out a call to anybody to create videos as an updated version of the walking refrigerator advertisement of a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And so they had 30 or 40 submissions from people who wanted Heineken to see their work. And the winner, actually got some prize money. But the main reason why people are doing these is because young filmmakers, it's really hard to get a chance to do work for a major brand, because typically they go to the large advertising agencies. And all of a sudden, these really creative and interesting ways that young filmmakers produce these videos they just sort of never really thought of, and they're coming out. And all of a sudden, the brand managers from Heineken are seeing them and putting them to work. So I'm a big fan of this idea of crowdsourcing now.
Well, there you have it. Some our tour through the green screen tour de force here. Hopefully, they won't put us in a blender, but
that would have to be a big blender to get the two of us in there.
Well, we'll ask George Wright if he can do it. He's been able. In fact, Nike paid him money to put a brand new sneaker in his blender to see if it would blend.
Did it blend?
It blended, but more importantly is the whole product placement concept. You know, who knew? Who knew?
An alternative source of revenue beside blenders. Stuff in blenders.
There you have it. For Search Engine Watch, I'm Greg Jarboe and
David Meerman Scott. Thanks, Greg.